Hey everybody, hope you're well. Hey, I just want to talk to you briefly, hopefully briefly, about thesis statements today. So, if you had a chance to go through chapter 30 today, I talked about a lot of things about essay structure, including introductions, paragraph structure, which includes topic sentences, and you might have read how everything kind of points back to your thesis statement. The topic sentences all connect to your thesis statements. Kind of tells you that your thesis is really super critical, right? If you don't have a nice, clear, solid thesis, you could imagine that your whole paper can kind of fall apart. It could be kind of clunky. You might not know, or your reader, importantly, your reader might be kind of all over the place, wondering, like, where's this guy going here? Um, things are kind of straying off center. It's not really kind of a logical flow to your paper. Therefore, your thesis is really super important. It's important to have a nice, clear, solid, concise thesis. So, you had an assignment this week. Let me share this here with you. You had an assignment this week that looked a little something like this. Let me share this. My sharing skills aren't too good these days. An assignment that looked a little something like this. And this assignment helps you craft a thesis statement. And really, a good thesis is three parts. It's made up of your topic, the claim, and then the reasons for that claim, kind of like the qualifier. So in other words, so there's three parts to it. It's a pretty complex statement. And we're going to talk about that a little bit today. And so I have actually a PowerPoint presentation. So I'm going to share that here with you really quick. So here is that PowerPoint. So let me just share that with you. So, a thesis statement. So, how does that make? So, as I said, you're going to start with a claim. So, imagine my topic is on solitary confinement, right? I'm really, really interested in solitary in this topic, and I'm going to my research, my the issue I'm going to be sharing is on solitary confinement. So remember, so the first step is the claim. The claim. Um, or I'm sorry, the claim is the topic. So my topic is solitary confinement. So the next thing is the claim. Solitary confinement must be banned. Okay, so that's the second part. And I can go with that, right? But you can see that's pretty general. So I want to beef that up a little bit and make it more to the point. I want to qualify that a little bit. And as your assignment suggested, it said to provide some reasons. Now, your specific assignment said include three reasons. And this is what I want to kind of talk with you about more specifically today is the three reason kind of structure. You may have learned this a little bit, maybe if you were in high school, maybe just kind of the way you've been, you were taught to write, especially like argumentative type papers, this sort of three reason format. So I might have, using that kind of format, I might have something that looks like this. Solitary confinement must be banned because it is considered cruel and unusual punishment. It costs taxpayers millions of dollars each year, and it increases recidivism rates. Right? So that looks like and is a pretty decent thesis, right? It must be banned because it's considered cruel and unusual punishment. It costs taxpayers millions of dollars each year, and it increases recidivism rates. Now, again, candidly, that's a good, solid thesis. You could imagine if that were at the end of an introduction, your readers would know exactly what your entire paper is going to be about. And like I said, most of us have probably learned to write thesis statements like this, using that kind of three-part, as we like to call it, the ABC kind of formatting of thesis. I'm going to show you a little something though. I'm actually going to highlight those three reasons, if you will. So imagine it looks like this. Solitary, again, my topic, solitary confinement, my claim must be banned, and then my reasons, because it's considered cruel and unusual punishment. It costs taxpayers millions of dollars each year. It increases recidivism rates. So again, while that's a good thesis, so think about something for a minute. Think about kind of the rules of thesis statements. Remember in our readings how um, all of your body paragraphs, which is kind of the second section of our exploratory essay, and really, honestly, any essay you write, everything in the body paragraphs of your paper must point back to your thesis statement. Everything points back to your thesis statement, right? You don't want to stray off anywhere. I mean, even if it's a little, kind of related, it needs to match exactly with your thesis statement, which means, which means everything must relate to consider cruel and unusual punishment. It costs taxpayers millions of dollars each year. It increases recidivism rates. Well, what if there's a fourth reason, or a fifth, or a sixth? See what I'm saying here? See what I'm saying? By really narrowing it down to just three reasons like that, you're really kind of limiting yourself to just those three reasons, to just those three reasons. You're stuck. You're kind of stuck here. Now on a 5-page paper, it might work for you. It might work for you. But later on, I guarantee you're going to have some pretty lengthy papers. And I will tell you here, one of the, we've been doing this kind of paper for a while. One of the most common issues people have is, oh, I'm only at 4 pages. I'm only at 4.5 pages. How do I get to 5 pages? And I'll usually say, well, find another source or expand on your research some more. Develop your ideas, and students really have a problem with that. And one of the problems is this sort of narrow kind of thesis. And having just these three, kind of reasons really limits you to what you can do, right? Because here you can only talk about these three: cruel and unusual punishment, costing taxpayers millions of dollars each year, and increasing recidivism rates. So how can you fix that? How can you fix that? Well, I'll show you here. I'll show you. Before you show you this, though, I want to show you one other kind of thesis statement that's really, really common that I'd also ask you to consider. And if you think about it, I want you to avoid. This is also a real common thesis. You might see something like this. In this essay, I will discuss all of the reasons why solitary confinement should be banned. Maybe you've seen thesis statements like this. Maybe you've been tempted to write a thesis like this. I mean, in some ways, this makes sense, right? If a reader were to see this at the end of your introduction, I mean, it kind of makes sense, right? They're going to know at the end of your introduction exactly what your essay is going to be about, right? They're going to know, you're going to discuss all the reasons why solitary confinement should be banned. But this kind of causes another problem that we're going to talk about a little bit later with point of view. It really kind of, again, thinking about how the other person reads this, the point of view here gets really messed up. When all of a sudden you're switching from first person to third person and all this kind of stuff. In this essay, I will discuss all of the reasons why. Right? It kind of, you don't want to say this. It's now all of a sudden now you're talking to the audience. You're making them part of the conversation. So avoid that kind of thesis if you're thinking about it. But going back to the sort of the ABC, or sometimes we call it the 5-paragraph essay, maybe consider something like this. Solitary confinement must be banned because of the incredible and devastating harm it does to prison inmates. Now you can see how this is it still sort of follows the pattern of it has the topic sentence, or I'm sorry, the topic, solitary confinement, the claim must be banned, and then the reason, because of the incredible and devastating harm it does to prison inmates. Now, with that sort of reason, you can see you're really not limited to all the research you can do. I mean, you can have source after source after source, reason after reason after reason after reason, and just go crazy. Go crazy with this. You're not limited to just those three that you had before. So anyway, this is something to think about as you're developing a good thesis. Okay. So again, even though, in your little assignment handout, coming up with those three reasons could work, it might work for you. It might limit some of you. One that I think of is this, I know some of you are coming doing the smartphones topic. Well, smartphones, there's got to be about 20 or 30 reasons why smartphones, social media, that kind of stuff should be banned or limited or whatever, right? Think about if you come up with just three reasons, right? You could really be limited with that kind of stuff. So, anyway, something to think about as you're crafting a good thesis is maybe making it, you know, focused, but not so focused, if that makes sense. Okay. If you need any more help or ideas or some tips, let me know. Good luck, everybody. Can't wait to see how your research is coming along, and we will talk with you soon. Take care.